Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com. In my last video, we talked about a new service where you can get values for equipment. And that is done by Sand Hills Publishing, which is a parent company of Tractor House. And we're speaking today with Mitch Hillman, and he's the guy that's kind of head of that whole project. And what they're doing is putting data together to predict values of equipment. And then, Mitch, you've got that on file and you can extrapolate that back and predict trends of where used tractor prices are going and inventory and all that. And you've got access to reports. And I'm really excited about this. Being a tractor geek, I'm always watching where the tractor inventory is going and where pricing is going. And you've made that incredibly simple and you've made it available to the general public. So tell us what data you bring together and what it tells us about the market and where we're at in the market right now.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I appreciate you having me on here. Yeah, you're spot on. With us having, a little background myself, I oversee our auction products with Auction Time. Which we also have the Tractor House side on the retail side. And so when you got two massive marketplaces like that, there's a lot of data and trends that, we can go back in several lots of, decades in time to really see what's happened, based on pricing in the market. And so we put these market reports out on a monthly basis, on the agriculture side with tractors, combines, and sprayers. And then we get into construction, with skid steers and, some of the lighter construction all the way up to the big stuff. And then even into the transportation side. And like you said, they're completely free, and we're just trying to give, the market better insight, overall data on what's happening in the market. So then they can go back and look at their individually owned assets and figure out, okay, we have different tools to help on pricing there, but really understand, is the market going up? Is it going down? What's going to happen if you're going to be making a buying decision, 6 months from now, 3 months, 9 months, a year, you can be better in tune with what the market may be technically.
What's the data showing you right now? We went through that COVID period where the whole market was just turned upside down. We had no inventory and peak demand. Yeah. And now the market is kind of getting back to normal. It appears to me inventory levels are starting to rise, which if you're probably a dealer, it's a bad thing. But if you're a customer looking for a tractor, it's a good thing. So tell us what your data shows right today.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and share my screen and we can kind of dive into one of these reports. This is kind of what the tractor market report looks like. When we get done with this, I'll show you how to access these and get signed up for it. But we'll dive into really a lot of big data overall. I'll tell you, what the overall used tractor market is today and this would be taking the data on Tractor House as a whole. Where the inventory is sitting, how it's changed month over month based on the different regions. You can kind of get a visual of what's where the units. It's kind of a heat map by state. But I'll dive in and show you a couple interesting charts here that just kind of overall, like you said, Mike, the whole pandemic, it really shows what happened overall. But March of 20 was technically the tipping point of when the pandemic hit. And this chart on the left really kind of shows this. This is the entire tractor market, the big boys all the way down to the small guys. And you'll see that, over the past, previous 5 years or so, the tractor market has stayed very steady. It rises and lowers a little bit, but inventory in general on the used side has been very, very pretty much flat. March of 20 hits, manufacturing and the production, comes to a halt. And what happens? Inventory literally falls off a cliff. We haven't seen inventory this low, pretty much forever. We hit basically rock bottom and on inventory levels in early Q1 of 2022, and not just in tractors. That was kind of the tipping point, March, April of 22 in all segments, construction and transportation, but manufacturing finally started to get caught up. The backlogs were starting to, new deliveries were starting to take place. And in this case, we saw inventory levels starting to climb. And we've been pretty much climbing steady, since for, a little over a year right now. In your case, looking at kind of you know, the less than 100 horsepower tractors, you know, this chart to the right really kind of shows you, you know, the inventory levels of what has happened there. The smaller tractors, which are, you know, they're easier to produce, you know, there's not as much that goes into them as the big guys. That is what the manufacturers as a whole were able to get caught up on first. And you can see where inventory levels basically have shot up since March of 22 last year, since then. And so that, you know, new deliveries were coming in, which was producing a lot of used inventory. And, you know, we're pretty much back to where we were pre-pandemic on the inventory levels on the smaller, less than 100 horse. We still got a ways to go on the you know, everything 100 horse or bigger, but we're starting to trend, making an upward trend. And
Yeah,
so
that's cool. That's great information. And that's used inventory only, but we're seeing kind of a similar deal with new, and new and used is going to kind of follow together, right?
yep, absolutely. You know, the more the manufacturers produce, you know, it's, you know, and it's going to hit the dealers' lots and get sold. It's going to produce used equipment when those new units get sold. Now it's, you know, it's going to be a few months, you know, post that new equipment hitting the lots, but it's definitely going to make an increase, especially, you know, right now where we were so backlogged, you know, for not just a year, for multiple years in a row because of the production, just the supply chain in general.
Okay.
And so these reports, this will go through all the big tractors, high horsepower, and then we'll get into let me scroll down here even farther. They're pretty in depth. Less than 100 horse, you know, and so here again, this is just basically looking at, you know, just the less than 100 horse tractors. You know, here March of 20 inventory levels as a whole have fallen, and we've been climbing since. We've actually seen a little dip this spring, which isn't a surprise. You know, it's guys are getting, you know, the winter's done. People are getting out, you know, and buying new equipment, which is producing some used, but you know, they're using it. And you know, that's very common and very expected. And you can kind of see some of these little dips in the past is very spring related or spring driven. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. It's kind of interesting here that when we've dropped down to looking at the retail versus auction prices right now. Retail prices, you know, since the pandemic, basically everything rose. And auction pricing rose too. Well, we've seen auction flatten out a little bit. Retail pricing, you know, is starting to react a little bit to catch up to auction. But there's a little bit wider gap than we're used to right now between the retail and auction. And a lot of that is driven by if you go back and look at inventory levels of less, we're higher. We have more inventory out there right now than we typically do in a normal market. And so we are definitely caught up on the used side with a lot of the smaller inventory here.
Does that mean those lines are going to come back a little closer together as dealers? Yep. Okay.
Yep, 100%. I would anticipate, you know, this green line here with inventory levels, we'll start seeing the auction react, which it already has. You can see this right chart, just so you know how to read this. The green line shows auction variance, year-over-year variance, and the blue line is the retail side. Well, you can see that the auction pricing has reacted. It's made a move downward in the last year, and historically, auction and in this segment of the market, auction and retail kind of react the same. And so, you know, they stay pretty much with each other all the time, where we're out of whack right now. So auction right now has fallen. Retail is trying to catch up to auction, and eventually somewhere down here, these two will meet and we'll probably come back together as this market starts to, you know, come back to, you know, what we're used to and become a normal market.
So bottom line in this is it may not be a complete buyer's market yet, but all indications are we're headed to where you're going to have a little bit more bargaining power with your local dealer if you're buying a used tractor right now.
Yeah, just specifically because inventory levels have rose, they rose so quick, values are reacting accordingly, which you'd see in any segment as inventory levels, climb as quick as they did. So,
That's pretty cool information. Mitch,
yep.
in the time remaining, can you show us how to get to this information and what a person needs to do to see it?
Yeah, absolutely. The easiest way would be to go to Tractor House, or you can go to Auction Time here. Either website. On the very top portion, we have this Get Market Reports. You can come in here and basically say, hey, I'd like all the ag ones. I'd like the construction ones. I like the truck and trailers, and basically sign up for free. And they'll come to you every month, and you'll get them, and it'll look just like this. You can click on it and really get a broad overview of what's happening.
Mitch, I'm so excited that you guys are offering these numbers. If a person is buying, it's a tremendous resource to use to kind of find out how much bargaining power you've got. In the times of COVID, when you had to pretty much give asking prices and people were maybe outbidding you on asking prices because inventory was so short, definitely are over. And the supply of used tractors is getting back to more normal. And that's sure good news for buyers. It doesn't look to me like a disaster yet for dealers. Just kind of getting back to normal. But that's good news. That COVID mess where we didn't have any inventory was pretty painful, and it's a good time to be buying a tractor. It looks like.
Yeah, the ag side in general, it's been it's been kind of flat. It hasn't been it's yeah, like you said, it's just a good time overall, and I anticipate this year to be kind of the way it is right now. It's not good, it's not bad. It's kind of just flat.
Yep. All right, Mitch. Thank you so much for taking time to join us and share those numbers. Thanks for watching.